Listen, nice to see you all tonight. Congratulations, John. Really well deserved.
Thank you, Duff, and thank you, Jimmy. I didn't think I was going to get very emotional, but I did. You know, when I sent an email to Duff asking to induct me this evening, I was only a matter of minutes. Later, he would call me and say, absolutely. Sister St. Gervais, my grade 8 teacher, said, John, if you want something done, that's a busy man. And that's what that program has done for me. I've had two passions in my life. They started very young. One was music, and the other was radio. I began buying 45s when I was 11 years of age. My mother would give me $1 a week allowance. That would get me from Curtis, Ontario to Wilson and Lee Music on Simcoe Street in Oshawa. I'd buy the 45. I still had money to get home. The guy who was behind the counter over 50 years ago selling me 45s at 66 cents each is still behind the counter at Wilson and Lee in Oshawa. Bill Wilson is at my table tonight. Controlled the radio when I was a child, and he listened to CKY. And I asked Allan, I said, Allan, give me a memory here. What year did this be? He said, probably around 1952. So I'd be about 3 or 4 years of age. The words I would hear would be, "Wake up, Ontario." And that was Stu Kenny, CKY. Well, a few years later, my father gave me the box, the Westinghouse tabletop radio. And it was 1050 Chum. It was CKY. It was WKBW in Buffalo. And I was listening to Duff Roman, Dave Mickey, and I don't know whatever happened to Dave Mickey, but it looks awful like David Mars. Well, they are one of the same. On Chum, Jungle J. Nelson, Dave Johnson, Rob McAdory, they were all doing great top 40. Tom Shannon on the KBW and radio. My friend Dave Tonkin was the first in the neighborhood to get a transistor radio. We take for granted now iPods and everything else, but to have portability of music and to be able to take it with you, incredible. Recently I've been reading about the death of radio again. It happens every once in a while. They've been calling for its demise since television was invented. Well, I'm here to tell you that radio is as vital as ever. I listen to it at home, the internet, on my iPod. The thing about radio is it's still there and it's still accessible. And by the way, just quickly, Canadian Music Week did a big survey this week. 70% of Canadians listen to AM/FM radio. 63% in the U.S. Good for them. Good for all of them. Dave Charles was in the house tonight with my PD 2107. He was the first I ever heard say the radio is theater of the mind. And it is. And it always has been for me. Couldn't agree more. 5 months ago when Neil Dixon called and phoned me to tell me I was receiving the Allan Waters Lifetime Achievement Award and going to the Canadian Broadcasting Hall of Fame, I really had to sit there a while and let it sink in. I was asked to write down basically my entire career, a lot of floodgates of memories opened up. It seemed like only yesterday was the CMW in Oshawa, standing on the fire escape at 360 King Street West. But I live for now, and I live for the future, and look forward to what's coming up. Various formats I've worked, the artists I've had access to. I have talked to John Lennon a couple of times, Ella Fitzgerald, Garth Brooks, multi-formats. None of that would have happened. I mentioned names only because if I hadn't been on the radio, I never would have had access to these artists. I'd like to thank a few people right now. But if it were not for them, I certainly wouldn't be standing here tonight. First, going back, when I was at OCBI Collegiate in Oshawa, Doug Williams was my guidance counselor, and I was in my last year of high school. And I said, Doug, I really want to go into radio. I've been offered a job at CMW. Doug, by the way, for those of you who don't know, if your memory stretches, Doug was the man who brought Bobby Orr, Wade Cashman, Terry O'Reilly, all of them to the Auschwitz Memorial. He's 82, he's still going strong in Auschwitz. You can't be here tonight, thank you, Doug. Terry Manton first hired me because Ronald J. Moore, now lives next door to Billy Joel, seriously, was the all-night guy and said, Donabie, you can do it, and he hired me without even listening. Tom Williams brought me to Toronto from CKLV. He said, John, I took you out of the gutter. And he brought me. Interesting concept that he brokered the all-night show that page. Something for owners to think about in the future when you think your all-night show is a lost leader. You get some guy to broker it and hire their own announcers. Sell it. Bob Lane, who was inducted last year into the Hall of Fame and number one with that kind of people away. He was a father figure to me. He brought me to Chum FM. I learned the art of the interview there. It was wonderful. I say that I'm proud to work for two family dynasties. The Waters family, because without Jimmy Waters, I would not be here tonight. And I remember Mr. Waters very wonderfully when I went to Chum FM in 1971, walking down the hall, and Mr. Waters walked up to me and said, you're John? Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Waters. Welcome to the family. Jimmy Waters continued that feeling at Chum. And Chum was such a great organization to be a part of. And thank you very much, Jimmy, for everything you've done. Really. Later down this year, we're over with the Slate family. Gary's not here tonight. Apparently he's in Thailand. I mean, Gary, if you didn't want to be here, Thailand. Real quick, I have to tell the story. I find it funny now. I didn't then. I was out of work in '95. Gary wanted to see me. He brought me in his office, said, John, I have nothing for you. But how are things? Well, I was working. Well, I got nothing for you. Well, okay. Have you tried Easy Rock? No. No, been there, done that, Gary. No, sorry. No. Well, I got nothing for you. I said, yeah, I know, okay. So listen, I better go now. And as I went to leave, he said, follow me. Took me down the hall, and there's a room at CFRB, which is now the prize closet. That's where the 3 stations keep all their prizes for giving away. In that room, he kept program director Steve Couch. It was big enough for Steve to walk behind the desk and for one person to go in, and he said, Couch, find him something. And I stayed 15 years. But if you know Gary, you know that you should know when to walk away. I didn't. I never did. And I went to his office and I said, Gary, thank you very much. I got a problem there. What? I've never done talk radio before. What? Never done talk radio before. John, one question. What is it you do between records? I talk. Let's do it longer. Is in the house tonight. Eaton Geeks, still the greatest morning man ever in this city. His real name is David Haju, or it could be Myra Rontosh. He goes under many names, whether he's wearing a dress or not. And I thank him for everything because he's my oldest friend in the market. David Marston, and so many others. Don Daynard, Tom Fulton. You all remember Don Daynard from CHFI, who built that dynasty. I'm going to see him next week. Thank you to Neil Dixon, the head of this group. And by the way, it was Neil who invited me to his club on a Sunday night in 1972. And I met my wife, Allan, who's with me tonight at 41 years. I'm sure still children, babies, and Samantha are here tonight. We're so very, very proud of. And I leave you with this. I dedicate this award to my granddaughter, Sky, who is the future. And I thank you all so very, very much for being so kind to me. Thank you for listening.